Have you ever learned about something and been really excited to implement it, but later realized, though you understand the information intellectually, you haven't really absorbed it? Have you been asked to take a bias training in the last few years in order to improve fairness and decision-making ability? If you're not a fan of diversity and inclusion, if you think DEI is a threat to your career, I hope you will stick around anyway. This is because this illusion, while focused on the current moment and DEI work, applies to many other illusions all of us may have that are holding us back. And without understanding how our biases work, we can easily get stuck making poor decisions, even if we understand what to do intellectually. So I hope everyone will stick around for this one. In today's episode of No More Illusions, we will reveal an illusion that is the reason why a lot of trainings, even expensive, cutting-edge ones, will ultimately not get the result either we or the company want. We'll share how change, like changes to our biases, actually happen instead of what many trainings assume is enough to work. Welcome to No More Illusions, the show where we help you see clearly so you can soar. I'm your host, Kwon, the Connection Counselor. Many educators and other bright people may have the belief if you teach people about their biases, it will prevent future biases because now they are aware of it. Sounds reasonable. However, awareness alone rarely produces change. I once had a manager who believed that awareness is what created change, and respectfully, I couldn't have disagreed more. I agree that awareness is helpful and at times necessary for change, but in and of itself, it doesn't accomplish meaningful change. Allow me to explain. Think about any bad habit you've ever wanted to stop and failed miserably at. I'm not trying to pick on any of these, but let's say smoking or drinking too much, TikTok doom scrolling, online gambling, going to sleep too late, guilty, or eating food that is delicious but not nutritious. When has anyone bringing any of those to your awareness changed your behavior? And in most cases, we are already aware that these are things we might want to change, but that awareness doesn't make any changes stick. So our biases, which at a fundamental level are part of the way our brains work, not the biases themselves necessarily, but how they operate. Our biases are not going to be changed just by someone telling us that we have this bias or that a certain bias is wrong or harmful to us or to others. Let's take confirmation bias as an example. Our brains seek out evidence that agrees with what we think and discounts or screens out evidence to the contrary. This happens implicitly, beneath our conscious awareness. And it very much feels like, open quote, I'm being objective, close quote. But why? And why is this happening even when it can get things wrong? The thing about biases is they're a feature and not a flaw. The brain evolved to prioritize speed and survival, not perfect accuracy. Confirming existing beliefs is faster and uses less energy than constantly reevaluating everything. It helps reduce uncertainty and threat, which keeps us emotionally stable. It also protects group belonging, which historically was essential for survival. So why does education alone or awareness alone fall short? Learning about bias is a top-down intervention. It's cognitive, it's conceptual, it's analytical. But confirmation bias is largely maintained by bottom-up processes, emotional memory, our nervous system state, identity-based associations. Top-down insight does not automatically rewire bottom-up thinking. So top-down is where expectations shape perception, and our prior beliefs filter incoming data. It's as if you feel, I already know what this means. In contrast, bottom-up is more based on raw sensory data and emotional data which flows upward. The experience challenges existing models, and you may think, this doesn't match what I expected. Bias lives in the top-down predictive model. Change happens when the bottom-up experience updates the model. However, there's an important element we need to consider, that our state determines our openness to these changes. When we're in a threat state, when we feel threatened, our top-down thinking dominates, our defensive filtering increases, and things like our confirmation bias, they harden. In a well-regulated, safe state, our bottom-up information is allowed in, and our flexibility increases. Curiosity becomes possible. You cannot update a model while the nervous system is bracing. So what actually resets or can reset our filters? Experiences that are emotionally real, that occur in relational safety, so I don't feel threatened by our relationship. They also experiences that gently contradict expectations, so you're not getting whacked over the head with it. It's a more gentle contradiction. And importantly, experiences that do not humiliate or threaten my identity. Repeated exposure is pretty important as well, so you need more than one exposure. So a one-time insight typically will not get the job done. And having this lived experience is much more effective for change and rewiring than conceptual awareness. So as an example, if I believe that people like that, whatever that means, don't care about people like me, you giving me a lecture on bias won't change that. A surprising, safe human interaction with someone in that group might. The bottom-up surprise creates space, and that space allows for a revision of the top-down model. So what does this mean for training and for educating people? It's really critical that we don't just transfer information when it comes to this sort of learning. We need to design experiences. And as part of that experience, we need to shift people's state first to one where they feel safe and open and ready to receive, more of a bottom-up model. When we create these environments, we're focusing less on being convincing and more on safely creating that space and that information. Finally, we may need to reevaluate how we accomplish our goals of shifting culture and or resetting systemic bias, because training alone will not do it, and some studies show that, ironically, it can make things worse. I'm not advocating for getting rid of training. Rather, I'm more for spending money on the types of experiences, including training, that works to accomplish change rather than just delivering any old training on a topic as a check-the-box exercise. So the takeaway for you, and I mean outside of training as it may not be your role to create training, is that for you to avoid becoming a victim of your own biases, which can cloud your perception and damage your decision-making, you're going to need more than a training. You're going to need exposure to different experiences that, in a way, rewire your brain. But in order for that to take place, you need to do it in a way where you feel safe and not threatened. And I believe that fundamentally, this is the root of a huge problem for companies. The people who are aware of their bias and want to change already feel safe and are open to learning. But the rest of the people who are not aware or don't feel they need to change or feel threatened by change or even this topic, they will not be able to safely experience anything in a way that leads for their experience and their perceptions to be updated. So to frame this, awareness is only a beginning. Experience is the mechanism for change, and your state, in a way, is a gatekeeper. And when you can integrate that top-down and bottom-up processing, then you can really affect change in yourself. Our illusion today was that learning about our biases helps us change them. The reality is, awareness alone will never budge our biases. Only experiences that we are open to and feel safe during can make an impact on our biases. The benefit is when we are able to revise and update our biases, it improves our perception and helps us make better decisions, benefiting ourselves, others, and the company. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to follow it on Spotify. It really does help more people discover it. And check out the No More Illusions website at nomoreillusions.lovable.app, where you'll find resources to help you see clearly so you can soar, including my Audible audiobooks Unlock Your Charisma and Unlock Your Executive Presence. You can also find a free credibility audit, which is an assessment designed to reveal the hidden gap between your actual performance and how you're perceived. It's based on ideas from my forthcoming book, The Credibility Gap: How High Performers Stop Being Overlooked and Start Getting Picked. Have a question or story you'd like to share? I'd love to hear it. Email me at joe@connectioncounselor.com. Thanks for listening to No More Illusions. I'm Joe Kwon, the Connection Counselor. Remember, clarity reveals, illusion steals.